Hey Brick Bloggeteers, Will here, and today we're looking at set 43242, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs Cottage. Now this will retail for $220. It released at the beginning of March in the US. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to build it because there was a lot of sets that came out. I really did want to build this because I was interested in a fairy tale cottage, and so fortunately I got a review copy to check it out. Now, it's going to be up to you whether or not 220 can stop you from building and buying this set with all the stuff that's out there. But I wasn't really familiar with the movie. I remembered some key things, and I was like, is there more to it? Fortunately, this set does show off most of what happens in the movie. Now, a big draw for this is going to be the 10 minifigures. You got all 7 dwarves, Snow White, Prince Charming, and the Evil Queen in her peddler disguise. So you do have, from left to right, Happy, Sneezy, Dopey, Doc, Grumpy, Bashful, and Sleepy, with Snow White, Prince Charming, and of course the Queen. Now, if you are interested in the Queen in her more regal, prettier phase with a magic mirror, try checking out the Disney Collectible minifigure series. I believe Series 2 might have her in that. This particular version is simply a repeat that you get from the Villains Icon set with her in this disguise. Let's take a look at the backs. One thing that you can probably see better from the backs is one way that LEGO saved money is for all the dwarves. They gave them these solid short legs so they aren't posable in that manner. So just be aware when you're deciding to pose them in places that you will have that limitation. But it's essentially to save money and to give you as many minifigures as they do for a $220 set, since these are something that is the most expensive thing to put in a set. All right, now for the set itself, there are going to be 3 settings. Surprisingly, that's the most important scenes in the movie. So starting off, you've got the whale. Now in the whale scene, you have Snow White singing to herself. Essentially, the echo is kind of accompanying her with the song. The prince climbs over a castle wall, watches her, falls in love, sings to her. She runs away, but this is where they establish that they're in love, I guess. And the well looks good on both sides with all the overgrown greenery around it, with the 2 little birds and the bucket. It's a pretty simple design and a great way to start you off because this is actually how the movie starts. Now I'm going to bring in the ending setting, which is the glass coffin. This is where, of course, she has bitten the apple, and the dwarves can't bring themselves to bury her, so they put her in a glass and gold coffin and watch vigil over her. This is where the prince finds her, kisses her, and that's where they live happily ever after. Prince does very little in the movie, aside from this. To put her into the casket, you pull off one side, and the interior of the coffin is sloped to accommodate the sloped dress piece that she has, so that you can put her with the head facing one way or the other, your choice. Now on the side of the coffin, underneath the leaf elements, both in front and back, there's actually printing that just says Snow White's name, as well as a few decorative designs on it. Now, one thing that I really like about this whole set is how they approach greenery, and especially the conifer pine trees. Putting the stems upside down to make the conical top looks very nice, and using these new fern type elements upside down gives a very distinct looking pine tree. It is cartoony, but it actually matches the aesthetic of the animation from the movie. And then also you have this more, what I'd call like a seashell style looking plant element. It's basically a larger version of these smaller leaves that are on top, and just kind of expanded. So it is also nice to see more of that being used, since that's a pretty new piece that I've only seen in 2024 sets. All right. Now, the main part of the movie does take place in the Dwarfs' cottage. So it makes sense that it's the biggest set piece. You do have a few liberties. Let's move to the side. This is actually Doc's little mining table. That's actually in the mine when it comes to the movie, not on the side of the cottage. But they did find that, you know, it was meaningful and memorable enough that it was worth including. He basically inspects gems, and any ones that they don't want, throws them to Dopey, and Dopey just dumps them off the side of a cliff. On the other side, you do have a light brick that's at the base of this tree, and that button will actually light up the interior of the fireplace. Speaking of interior, here is the back of the building. So you have the dining room area with the fireplace. Not exactly sure the fireplace can be really seen even with the light up brick. But there is decorations all throughout this whole thing, and they actually did make 7 place settings, 7 chairs. They have the organ. Now the organ does have stickers on the sides, face, to represent the animals. Now in the show, the pipes from the pipe organ were carved. They weren't able to do that, but they did represent a lot of the carving you see in the movie. And unfortunately, this room in this cottage is so deep that it's really hard to see fine details deep into the set. There is a wash basin with water pouring into the sink. Way back in a corner, there's an uncooked gooseberry pie with Grumpy's name on it. That's actually a printed element. There's a keg. There's a teapot. There's a cupboard with some cups. All that you can only see if you've actually built the set. So what they actually did to help you get to those elements a little bit better, not that it helps you see, is they made it hinged. Now, unlike other hinged buildings, that's the max it can go, it's still open from one side. Basically what it does is it gives you more access to the lower floor interior elements. So in case you need to reach in and move some figures around to put them in the right seats or the right placement for whatever your display desires are. Now you will notice that if you looked at the front and back, it was really hard to see or get into whatever's on this floor of the cottage. So for that, we actually just lift off this roof section, and that's where we have all the dwarfs' beds. The center one, of course, is Doc. On this left side, it's from front to back, Grumpy, Bashful, and Sleepy. And on the other side, it's from the front to back, Happy, Sneezy, and Dopey. And you know which ones are which because they'll have you put stickers on the footboards of every bed. And I do like the bed headboard and footboard pieces. They're 2x2 tiles where one half is rounded and the other half is square. So very useful in terms of design. Now I absolutely love the texturing they put for the thatched roofing. They use a combination of cut slopes as well as teeth elements. You can see the teeth elements a little bit better on the sides. This gives this nice woven look throughout the entire thing. I did use something similar in one of my own creations to represent waves, but they took it like 5 steps further here by giving it more dimension, and they even played with color as I described in my article. Now the other thing that has popped up in circles is people were upset with how few animals are actually in the set. I am kind of afraid to put this here. Oh no, I got it right. So you do get things like the 2 squirrels, you get 3 birds. There is a spider located on the second floor of the rafters. You also get a butterfly in one of the trees, but if you actually watch the movie, there's like a deer missing, there's like half a dozen bunnies missing, there's more squirrels missing, raccoons missing, and to my utter sadness, they're missing the turtle. The turtle was just this cute character that kept missing all the action and showing up late. So it was sad not to have them. So you're going to have to scrounge your own Lego collection if you want to fully flesh out the entire scene. Now, I did talk about a few elements in my article of scenes that weren't in the piece. One of them was just Snow White running through the woods that she was scared by. Well, that's a transition element, not really a place setting, so you don't need it really built. The Queen kind of in her dungeon, it's kind of drab and generic and very small, so I can see why they skipped that. And when she fell off a cliff because she was chased by the dwarves, that was just kind of a thing that happened. So yeah, you got the three main elements in the movie right here, all for $220. So if you're a big fan of Snow White, I definitely recommend checking it out. It is a very advanced build. So if you're also a longtime Lego builder, you're going to have a fantastic time building this set. There was a lot of interesting ways they went about patterning, well, like I said, the thatched cottages, and especially the trees. I really, really enjoy building these trees. So again, it's set 43242, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs Cottage from Lego.